Hey, what's good, everybody? It's J Will here again. The topic of Zoro has been very hot in these One Piece streets lately, and rightfully so, because for one, we all love Zoro, and for two, he's been doing some spectacular things not only in the arc of Wano, but throughout the whole story in general. So today, what I wanted to do is what I usually do is just go through and analyze the journeys of some of our favorite characters, and today we're talking about Zoro. So let's go ahead and get into it. It's interesting how Luffy picks up some of his crewmates, right? They either down bad or they having one of the worst days in their life. One of the two. And when we first see Zoro, he is down very bad, okay? He's set to be executed. He doesn't have any of his swords and he looks quite helpless. And then Luffy comes around. And I don't know, I guess Luffy saw something in Zoro. So he was like, I want him on my ship. But it's not like Luffy had a lot of options at that point because who else did he have? He didn't have anybody, right? So Zoro was his first mate. Zoro was his homie. He said, Zoro, if I go and get these swords for you, you're going to join my ship. I guess Zoro didn't really, think Luffy was going to get him, but he brought him his swords back. They got out of that sticky situation and they got off on their journey, which I really did. It does take a while to get into One Piece, but the beginning was decent, right? Because you got to build your crew up, but you don't know who's coming next. And to have a swordsman as your first mate, you don't know what he's about or any of his goals at the time. He just wanted him on his crew, and I really like that aspect of Luffy. He just goes out and does it. He don't know shit about anybody he wants on his crew. He just says, you're on my crew. Okay, but let's analyze how Zoro feels about himself at the beginning of the story, because he has goals. He wants to be the strongest swordsman in the world. He wants to be the greatest swordsman in the world, and he knows exactly who he has to surpass to achieve those goals. Dracula Mihawk. Now, it could be said that Zoro really overestimated his powers at the beginning of the story. No doubt. I'm pretty sure he thought he was a lot closer to Mihawk than he thought he was. And he even said that in the fight. There's no way that there's this big of a gap between our powers. So in that fight with Mihawk, really big reality check moment for Zoro. And I also feel like that just motivated him a lot more. You feel what I'm saying? He got that real thorough reality check way earlier in the story than Luffy got his. Luffy got his a little bit later. To where he's like, okay, if I'm going to achieve my goals, realistically, if I'm going to be out here claiming to be a strong swordsman and have the goal of being the strongest swordsman in the world, then, I got to make it happen. I got to put in the work. I got to have this strong resolve. I have to defeat everybody that I come across. No ifs, ands, or buts. I have to win. I don't have time for that losing shit. And we see that in a lot of his next fights. In Zoro's fight against Hachi, he really just steeled his resolve because he still had the wound from Mihawk. It was still healing. And when he revealed this fight in his battle, they were like, oh my goodness, why are you still fighting? How are you still even standing here alive in front of me right now? And that's just Zoro has always had that unbending will. And he's always had an extremely strong resolve where he would not give up. So respect for Zoro. His fight versus Hachi, one of my favorite little moments, one of my favorite little fights of his, but it's not better than his fight with Mr. One. That fight with Mr. One was a really great fight because he wasn't fighting a swordsman, he was fighting basically a human weapon, right? This guy could do anything with his arms and legs, turn them into blades. And so in order to win this fight, Zoro had to basically cut steel. And I think up to this point in the story, Zoro hadn't cut anything steel. This might have been his hardest fight up until now, him versus Mr. One, right? And the way he ended it, using the breath of all things, right? And it's crazy how everything got quiet. He just sitting here talking to himself, reflecting on things he had learned. I'm pretty sure Zoro thought he was about to die. He was losing a lot of blood, right? But then to use the breath of all things, Zoro was really tapping into a lot at the beginning. Shout out to Oda. And I feel like that's why a lot of people like Zoro a little bit more than Luffy because we see Zoro tap in so early in his journey, so focused, so steadfast on his goals and what he needed to accomplish. All we could do is appreciate that. So beating Mr. One, cutting through that steel, further stealing his resolve that he's going to be the best swordsman. That's a real great moment for Zoro. Um, and then we can talk about a couple of moments that he's had with Luffy as well. Him getting willingly beat up by Bellamy. Him and Luffy willingly getting beat up by Bellamy because they just felt like, it's not worth it. And that's something that Luffy picked up from Shanks. So shout out to Luffy. But it's just interesting to see Luffy's crewmates pick up, some of Luffy's morals and how he approaches the world and how the world reacts to the Straw Hat crew. It's just interesting to see Zoro just like willingly take that because you would think that a character like Zoro would be like, as soon as somebody put their hands on me, I'm gonna slice them. And that's just how it is. That's how we perceive Zoro. Zoro's not going for none of that. But see him sacrifice. Then that's one thing. That's one thing that's really big for Zoro. Sacrifice. Zoro has always been willing to sacrifice himself for the greater good of the crew and for the dreams of his captain, which we'll get into that a bit later. But first, let's touch on Enies Lobby, okay? Enies Lobby, that's one of the best arcs in One Piece. But it's particularly huge for Zoro on many different levels, okay? Because first things first, you could say, out of all the Straw Hats, including Luffy, Zoro developed the pirate mindset faster than anybody else. Hands down. He understood, and he even said it himself in Luffy's fight with Usopp. We're not playing a kid's game here, okay? This is not just for fun. This is not something that you just go and do with your friends for the hell of it. No, we could die here. We could seriously die here. And if nobody else around here is gonna hold you to a higher standard, Luffy, then I'm gonna hold you to a higher standard. And if we keep losing like this, I'm gonna be the one that's gonna lead the crew because I'm not gonna be around here losing all the time. I got goals, I got aspirations, and I can't be out here losing if I'm gonna achieve these goals and aspirations, right? So Zoro, being Luffy's first mate, is the one that has to hold him to the higher standard. Has to really drill into Luffy. Look, we can't be out here playing around. You gotta be strong. I gotta be strong, or we're all gonna die. So that was just one of the first levels of development in Enies Lobby. Okay, then we gotta talk about his fight against the CP9 members, while also having Usopp as like a bit of a handicap throughout the fight because Usopp was trying to throw the handcuffs on one of the CP9 members. Sometimes I get bad with names. I know one of them name was Kaku. The wolf name, I can't remember his name off the top of my head sometimes. I'm sorry. But we see Usopp try to assist Zoro in this fight, right? Ends up making the shit worse, but Zoro, it was kind of a gag at first because, they were fighting each other, right? Kaku and the other dude. They were really going at it. And it's just interesting to see how Zoro was able to work around that and then able to finesse himself into a 1v1 versus Kaku, okay? He got in that situation. And then surpassed his limits again. Zoro's always surpassing his limits, and that's one thing that we can really appreciate about Zoro's journey as well. Constantly surpassing his limits. And it's just, in that fight, what I really liked is, when Kaku is talking mad shit to Zoro, and then Zoro's voice got real deep, and he's like, man, you took that shit too far, bro. I'm not even like... He has some of the most intense, devilish moments in the series, and you can't do nothing but appreciate that for what it is. This guy is out here, really has these goals of becoming the strongest swordsman, and no matter who is in front of him, no matter what kind of pain he goes through, no matter how many slices he gets, no matter how strong the opponent is, he's always standing on his 10 toes, like ready for the next moment, right? And so he was able to surpass his limits again versus Kaku, one of my favorite fights in the story. And then After Enies Lobby, after that great arc, we get nothing happened, right? Everybody loves nothing happened. And like I said a couple minutes ago, just about the self-sacrifice, and he went into that situation and he thought he was gonna die. He was ready to die, right? Sanji also tried to do it, but I feel like Sanji would have actually died had he gone through it. You know, we love selflessness, right? As humans, we appreciate selflessness, especially when we see it from our favorite characters, right? So for a man with such grand goals of becoming the greatest swordsman ever, the strongest swordsman in the world, for him to go deep within himself and say, look, I know I have my goals, but I want to sacrifice my life and my goals and everything that I've built up within myself for the sake of another human being, right? And that's the type of shit that'll make you give somebody a standing ovation, right? But that was just the start of Zoro's sacrifice for Luffy, okay? After that, we get, his training with Mihawk, in which he could have possibly tried to make a chance of relocating with Luffy, but he said to himself, I'm gonna train under Mihawk, the person who I'm actively trying to be stronger than. I'm gonna train under him so that I can be stronger, so that I can help the crew and help protect the people around me. Because now at this moment, whether you want to believe it or not, Zoro has people that he cares about. He cares about everybody on that crew, including Sanji. Even though they go back and forth, they got kind of a brotherly love thing going on. He cares about everybody on that crew, especially his captain. So to himself, it was probably easy for Zoro in his mind to be like, look, I gotta get stronger. Okay, I can't stay how I am now, because at Sabaody, you already know what happened, man. They got that reality check, right? So very interesting for Zoro to see the amount of strength he was able to pack on. And now let's get, let's talk about Zoro's overwhelming strength after the time skip. Because, post time skip, we got that fight in Fishman Island with the squid guy, okay? That was alright. Fishman Island is alright. It was alright. But have we even seen anybody, up until the Wano arc, we hadn't really seen anybody give Zoro that real deal, okay, it's time. It's time. Zoro put on, he packed in so much power during those 2 years that he came out of it. And, Luffy was up here basically, and Zoro was probably like right here, right? And just comparing it to other, pirate ships, there's probably not that many number twos who are that close to their captain in terms of strength. So anybody that Zoro was going up against, it was just an easy dub. And then we get to Wano, we see Zoro shine like a star. Like so many moments that we've seen Zoro, slice somebody with a dagger, or his fight versus Killer, which was greatly animated when he just took a scythe to the shoulder, let me hold on to that, and now let me end the fight. And basically, we've seen Zoro do so much. Let's talk about Rooftop Zoro. Okay, are you kidding me? Conqueror's Haki Zoro, stopping that, Ocean Sovereignty from Big Mom and Kaido, even though he broke all of his fucking bones, that was still, to even hold that out for a second, to just even hold it out for a second to give anybody, the inkling of a chance to get out of that situation. Kudos to you, Zoro. Shout out to you, Zoro. You did your thing up there. But now we're transitioning into Zoro versus King, right? Now, we all think that Zoro is going to win this fight. Now, I'm pretty sure we all believe Zoro is going to win this fucking fight. But how? How? That'll be very interesting. I want to see some more of that Conqueror's Haki. And it could be a possibility to see some Conqueror's Haki clashes from Zoro and King if they both have it. Now, if Zoro can pull it out again, that would be fantastic. We definitely going to see a lot of Haki in this fight. This is going to be a very interesting test for Zoro. And we've seen his overwhelming strength so many times in the story, and I think we getting to a point where the opponents are getting so strong, the fights are gonna start getting, more and more difficult. But that means Zoro will be getting a lot stronger after these fights due to the difficulty. And that's just how things work, man. That's just how things work. In terms of, Zoro killing Kaido, like Mr. Morris made a video on that shit today. Shit was fire. That shit, I don't think it's happening. Like I just really think Luffy gonna finish that. But Zoro, I feel like he's done his thing in 1-0. We shouldn't really put all those expectations on him to be doing so much when the whole premise of having a pirate crew is to lean and depend on your nakama. When you can't do something, somebody else can. You get what I'm saying? So I think Zoro just has to depend on Luffy. Put all your focus on King. Take care of that, because that's not gonna be an easy fight at all. But I really did enjoy making this video, because I'm just thinking Zoro has really come a long way. He's done a lot of things, not only for Luffy, but for the pirate crew in general, and he's just gotten so strong throughout the story that it's finally good to see him get a decent challenge for once, and for somebody to actually be like, okay, you know what I'm saying? What are we gonna get from Zoro next? Because I love Zoro. He is one of my favorite characters. I like Sanji more, but I do love Zoro. I'm not on that hating that shit, okay? So Zoro has really done a lot. He's had a lot of great moments in the story. But if you have anything else that you want to add, like some of your favorite moments for Zoro, drop a comment down below. Drop a like and subscribe if you really enjoy the content. Still got gameplay in the background. I try to mix it up every now and then with, different frames and different stuff. But hey, if you really enjoy the content, yeah, stick around, and you guys have a good day. Peace out.